Here's an idea. There's an important difference between controlling and being your video game avatar. Central to every video gaming experience is the avatar. Yes. Sorry, just wanted to get that out of the way right at the top. The in-game avatar is our agent, meaning it takes action. It has or gives us agency in a world that we can't otherwise manipulate. Even if you actually could leap, jump, slide across all of the rooftops, you can only perform those actions in Mirror's Edge as Faith. And though she's clearly very good at her job, your actions are restricted to what she is programmed to do, which is an idea that we're going to talk about in a little bit. Now, it hasn't always been wicked sweet jumps. Avatar started out as spaceships, paddles, tiny men, and very hungry pie charts. Nowadays, they're, well, better looking spaceships, but also complexly rendered spherical aggregates, anatomically correct human beings, both realistic and cartoonish, and of course, the first-person perspective granting floating camera, suggesting that the player themselves is able to experience what exactly is going down in Gaming Town. Which, of course, raises a question, because you're watching Idea Channel, and what else would it do but raise a question? When you're playing a video game, is it expected that you are, or are controlling your avatar? Of course, it's different for every game. When you control an avatar, you, like the player, are an external force expressing your outside-the-screen will through an on-the-screen character. When you press X, they ask how high, or jump the programmatically predetermined amount. Your avatar is, in the words of video game programmer Rob Fulop, your cursor. In a game, Mario isn't a hero, he says. I don't want to be him, he's me.
It's me, Mario.
Mario is a cursor. Maybe you do want to be the Street Fighter guys, but I think they're more like your tennis racket. In this situation, the on-screen character is a tool, a means to an end. Games like Mario and also Halo, GTA, and even Zelda don't really support the subsumption of the gamer into the avatar. Sure, you might identify with Master Chief right out of the box, but that doesn't have much to do with the game drawing you in. A division is maintained. You give the orders and he obeys. Encouraging and supporting the integration of the two yous is no simple task. Feeling as though you are your avatar and that they are not just enacting your every demand, but rather are you digitized involves triggering some empathy, which is itself a whole other thing we don't have time for, but luckily GameSpot's reality check nailed this if you want to know more. Basically, your avatar needs to be important, either because of its significance to you, its significance in the game, or both. Problem Machine writes that games hand us fragments of memory piecemeal to allow us to construct a map, or show us our characters' past effects upon the world, landmarks by which to trace their steps. Neither of these can necessarily be trusted, but they never seem to lie. Sources in the doobly-doo. Because we go into most games with no pre-built affection for the characters, it needs to be constructed and then handed to us, and that can be a house of cards. Some games get it really right. Braid, Earthbound, Journey, and Beyond Two Souls invite the player to think of themselves as the character that they play on screen. And of course, control versus be is not a perfect binary, and either one can become the other. You might grow to love and closely identify with Gordon Freeman, or the aiming reticle from Missile Command. Alternatively, you might start out feeling like you are your Fallout 3 or Saints Row character, especially if they look like you. Which, I mean, avatar design is a whole other thing that Jamin from GameShow has a lot to say about, so you should check out his video from this week right here. Only to eventually realize that they're nothing more than a boring mute clone of your stunning mug. Now, before anyone starts to think I'm saying that one avatar relationship is better than the other, I'm not. I'm not even saying that every game has to fall into one of these categories. Like in FTL, are you the ship? Yourself? I mean, there is literally a cursor. Controlling versus being are both useful and dangerous in different ways. For instance, I certainly don't need the emotional roller coaster of The Walking Dead with every game that I play. And that's the beauty of being removed from intense investment. A game can be a series of fun-to-complete tasks, a set of goals or achievements, a progression of levels or stages. The risk is in feeling like you're just running errands or ticking things off of a list. When you fully inhabit a game, it becomes engaging and attains that ever-elusive characteristic of, get ready for the buzzword, immersion. You get sucked into the story, you value your character and their relationships, you feel empowered in the game world, and you want to see everything through to the end. Let's make a difference. And it is literally all fun and games until you, like you, because remember that you and your avatar are one and the same, have to do something uncomfortable. This is the downside to investment. When the game asks you to or makes you kill an innocent or morally ambiguous person, puts you between all of the rocks and all of the hard places, or asks you to choose in some way between your beloved party members. In a movie, you're along for the ride, but in a game, you are steering the ship. That's you in there doing that stuff. So is there a line that game designers shouldn't cross when making you do things? Now, slow your comment roll, everyone heading south to the submit box to write ye old, if you don't like it, then don't play it. Saying, okay, yeah, you can stop playing halfway through this game that you paid for if you're not comfortable, puts the player in a weird situation. I'm invested, I want to finish, but that's not what I would do, and that's me in there. In his paper, Rethinking Agency and Immersion, Gonzalo Frasca writes that if narrative is about description, then simulation is about legislation. Insofar as games simulate a world, they also allow us to legislate or give orders within it. But there's only so much that the game will let you do, and here we are back at Faith only being able to do what she's programmed for. Jeff Murray describes this as the dialectical interplay between agency and structure. It would be neat if you could do anything, but a game is finite. Ideas of what you could do in-game crash into the limits of technology. What actually happens is somewhere between the two, a sometimes very convincing illusion of choice. Shout out to extra credits. When that illusion crumbles and you have to do something that you would not otherwise, it can be upsetting. Frasca might suggest that instead of crumbling that illusion in front of some immoral or violent task, it should be done for a socially or culturally progressive one. He describes a theoretical game called The Sims of the Oppressed. But in real life, we do have games like Gone Home, Papers, Please, and a bunch of other indies that effectively erase the rift between player and agent while engaging in some amazing and interesting critical purpose related to family, sexuality, immigration, coming of age, you name it. Is that better than the normal AAA action fest? That's not my place to say, and for the record, I like death-defying jump leap slides just as much as the next guy, but it does seem like a powerful and powerfully underutilized possibility for games. What do you guys think? Have you played a game where you felt like you were your in-game character, and did that cause you to think critically about something? Let us know in the comments, and if it doesn't make you too uncomfortable, use your cursor avatar to subscribe. We both have discussed, researched heavily. Let's see what you guys had to say about horse ebooks and spam as art. Philip F. Nylander says that horse ebooks, beyond being a work of art, is actually a way forward for literature, and that it shows that a piece of text which isn't classically literary, it doesn't have the characteristics of what we consider great literature to be, can still affect people greatly, which I totally agree with, clearly. Andy Baio, who I quoted last week, said that spam is only an artwork accidentally, and that really what it is it's just coarse consumerism, and proclaims that the animated GIF still reigns supreme as the internet's native art form. There you have it, everybody. Dominic Winter says that spam might not be an artwork because you don't go to it to have an experience, it comes to you, and so in a certain sense it is invasive. I wonder if there is an unintended comparison or connection here between spam and graffiti. I don't know. RedX Parasite questions the premise that the internet even has one native art form and says that there are many art forms on the internet that are greatly impactful. Relatedly, Stephen Hayden and a bunch of other people said that the internet's true art form is probably trolling, which, yeah, you could say that it is definitely more of an art than a science. Maggie Edna provided some insight to the pronunciation book side of the whole thing, which I was totally absent for, and says that it was actually something more of a celebratory event when it finally revealed what it was counting down towards and not a disappointing like piece of advertisement. So that's a really interesting other side to the story. To MacFlash, I think that the idea of what counts as creativity is very much changing, but also suggested by this statement is questioning whether or not it is the intention of the person doing the thing or the intention of the person viewing or consuming the thing that has the authority to deem it art or not, creative or not, which, I mean, I don't have an answer to, but it's a great question anyways. Thank you, Amanda L, and to Nicole, I want to sincerely apologize. We'll call you Nicole from now on. Whoa, 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 Zachary Smith, are you saying that it's not a soap opera? I'm confused. To Alicia East, I think a lot of people would agree that Jeff Koons is in fact spamming the art world with his work, so this makes perfect sense. This week's episode was brought to you by the hard work of these in-game avatars. We have a subreddit and an IRC, links in the description, and this week's tweet of the week comes from DP Goodfellow, who points us towards a Verge article about a gallery show and auction selling animated GIFs that is actually curated by my friend Lindsay. It's super interesting. You should definitely check it out.